Once upon a time, in a quaint village, nestled at the edge of a dense, mysterious forest, lived a sweet and innocent little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She earned her name from the beautiful crimson-hooded cloak that her loving grandmother had made for her. Little Red, as she was affectionately called, was adored by everyone in the village for her kind heart and charming demeanor. One sunny morning, Little Red's mother called her into the kitchen. "Dear," her mother said, "your grandmother isn't feeling well. I've prepared a basket of freshly baked treats and some warm broth for her. Would you be a darling and take them to her? Remember to stay on the path and not wander off into the forest." Little Red happily agreed, donned her red cloak, and set off on her journey with the basket in her hand. The path to her grandmother's cottage was well trodden and meandered through a picturesque meadow before entering the dense woods. As she walked, the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Unbeknownst to Little Red, a cunning and crafty wolf had been observing her from the depths of the forest. The wolf had an appetite for mischief and was always on the lookout for opportunities to satisfy his hunger. He hatched a plan to intercept the little girl and indulge in a meal both tasty and tender. The wolf, being a master of deception, stealthily raced ahead and reached grandmother's cottage before Little Red. He knocked on the door, and when grandmother answered, he quickly disguised his voice to sound like Little Red. "Grandmother, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I've brought you some treats and broth." Grandmother, who was feeling weak, replied, "Come in, my dear." The wolf entered the cottage and, without hesitation, gobbled up grandmother, leaving only her nightcap behind. The cunning creature then put on grandmother's clothes and lay in wait for Little Red. Before long, Little Red reached the cottage and knocked on the door. "Come in, my dear," the wolf called, doing his best to mimic grandmother's voice. Little Red entered the cottage and was puzzled to see her grandmother's appearance changed. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have!" she exclaimed. "All the better to see you with, my dear," replied the wolf, maintaining his charade. Little Red continued, "Grandmother, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with, my dear," the wolf replied once again. Curiosity growing, Little Red asked, "Grandmother, what big teeth you have!" With a sinister grin, the wolf replied, "All the better to eat you with, my dear." At that moment, the wolf lunged towards Little Red, but just then, a brave woodcutter passing by heard the commotion and burst into the cottage. He swiftly swung his axe and rescued Little Red from the wolf's clutches. The wolf, defeated and terrified, fled into the forest, never to be seen again. Little Red hugged the woodcutter, relieved and grateful for his timely intervention. They then discovered grandmother hidden in the closet, unharmed but shaken. Together, they recounted the tale to the village, and the villagers praised the woodcutter's bravery. From that day on, Little Red learned to always heed her mother's advice and never stray from the path. The village celebrated their safety and taught children the importance of caution and trust. And as for Little Red Riding Hood, she continued to spread kindness and warmth wherever she went, knowing that sometimes the woods might hold not only danger, but also the courage to overcome it.